I would like to welcome you all to this lecture by Scott Hacker.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you for coming for an early start today. My topic for today, as you can see on the screen, is a new avenue to obtain easy and free access to cutting-edge statistics and graphical software. The first part there, the cutting-edge statistics part, I mean, that's nothing new. I mean, there's been some software that's been out for a long time that's open source, and that's the R software systems. Many people have been participating with that. It also is one of the better packages for dealing with graphical techniques. So that is what today's topic is about. Also, well, where I come in is this is ongoing work. I haven't completed this. I just started this actually in the middle of the summer. Ongoing work on a more convenient graphical user interface to access many of the functions through the statistical software R. Now this is a lot of the strength of R lies in actually what's referred to as a programming statistical language, and so there's a lot of for advanced users, it's actually quite powerful because it has quite a bit of flexibility, but for users who are more casual or a little bit more beginners, or who are perhaps advanced users of statistics but haven't gotten into have not dealt with R before, then it's nice to have a graphical user interface as at least an entry point into the system, and also for those who are trying to use R but don't use it on a regular basis, but might come back to it maybe once a year or every 2 years. Then remembering all the codes to be able to deal with R in the usual way can be quite cumbersome. So that's what I've been working on. Among others. I can't say I'm the only one dealing with this. I'm going back in history on this one. R is actually based upon an older system, S and S+, these statistical languages, and they started off in 1975 and 1976. Developed at the Bell Labs by John Chambers with Rick Beckers and Alan Wilkes. Then in 1988, there was a commercial version, S+, developed. In 1997, R, an open source code implementation of the S system, was developed by Robert Gentleman and Rossi Haka. And this page is just dealing with the popularity of R. And here I'm just taking quotes off the internet from Wikipedia. The R language has become the de facto standard among statisticians for the development of statistical software, and is widely used for statistical software development and data analysis. From the New York Times, R is also the name of a popular programming language used by a growing number of data analysts inside corporations and academia, is becoming their lingua franca. So a really very important statistical language being used today. It's also a pretty nice community. It's from James Miller, 2005. This quote is saying that, and finally I have to say the R support community is bloody fantastic. Status is very good, but ours is really something. So never let anyone tell you R is poorly supported. That is absolutely false. One reason why he was probably saying that was that Stata is actually also an exceptionally good language and used by economists quite a bit. And one major difference is that it is commercial, and commercial packages often do have at least the commercial support. But nevertheless, the open source community is really very generous in offering their help. This page I also took off the internet by a blog. I can't say I necessarily agree with everything here, but I guess it gives the general idea of various popular packages that are available out there. has the advantages of library support and visualizations. Are really quite good on graphics. Its major disadvantage, which is the thing that I'm dealing with, is its steep learning curve. It is actually a rather difficult language to learn. What the typical users are in finance and statistics. I won't go through all the other ones here, but well, Excel, many people know it's easy, visual, and flexible. It has difficulty dealing with large data sets, but it is popular in business. I can't say that would not be a really very first choice for me as far as statistical, to do statistical work though. It is on the rather slow side also, and these other packages are much better for dealing with these things in general. SAS is a big player, as far perhaps the biggest player. I don't know. I mean, it's a really very popular commercially and also in governments, and it has a huge amount of support. It's been around for a long while. Perhaps that's one reason why the person who wrote this blog says it's an outdated programming language, because it has been around for quite a while, but it is also expensive. And then Stata, I've already discussed that a bit. It has easy statistical analysis. This is where I might disagree. I mean, relatively easy. for advanced statistical analysis, it is certainly relatively easier than R, but compared to, say, SPSS, I think SPSS is a bit easier, unless the newer versions of Stata have made things a bit simpler from what I've seen. And SPSS, I just say, is like Stata, but more expensive and worse. The graphics abilities of R. This is actually where I should have started up. Actually, I forgot to open this up, so I'm going to see if I can pull in these things from the internet. And then perhaps while it's loading, I'll go on with the rest of my discussion. I noticed that it's coming off of doing hyperlinks from PowerPoint is not, at least from here, not the best. So open up the hyperlink. Let's see how quick this is. Oh, this wasn't so bad. This is a PDF file, and this is just to show some of the graphics capabilities that are available. I won't go through each of these graphs, but just quickly going through them. But really very nice graphics in general. And also, I'll go to this other one. This actually opened up more quickly than previously. This is actually a whole internet site devoted to people who are proud of their graphics in dealing with R. So, and you can see the various thumbnails of various graphs and diagrams that people have been producing. So yeah, it is a major place for dealing with these things. Let's see, go back to this view here. Now I'm back at the beginning to go through it now. Okay, the interface of R is typically, these days, it's usually, I believe, through a software referred to as R GUI. And now I actually have to pop out of this and demonstrate to you what is the typical way of getting through R. So this is the R GUI. And so this is the graphical user interface that's been around for many years. It's not a really exceptionally developed user interface, but it's certainly better than doing everything in DOS. But anyways, the way that this is usually handled is people are usually opening up script files. And what I mean by a script file is something along these lines. So you see some lines of code, pull in a data set, print the data sets, open up a graphical window, X11, do a plot. I have, after that, do a regression, model LM, and do a summary, then pull in a library so we can do a regression line. This is a typical type of session that our users have. And actually, well, in some ways that this seems quite awful compared to those who are just clicking around in SPSS, but it has an exceptional amount of strength also, that you can save files like this. If you make an error, you can go back and change it, and you can do loops and everything. So it is actually, one of the reasons why R is actually very popular is the ability to do these script files. On the other hand, for people just getting into R, it is actually, it can be, as one of the previous slides had noted, there can be a quite steep learning curve in trying to learn all these scripts. So, well, I guess an example of how this works in the R GUI, we can, paint over the section and run it. And you see that, you get some lines of output, you get a graph, and part of this was listing the data. So anyways, this is the system right now. And, but this isn't the system I'm actually focusing on today, that this is what's been available for quite a while. Then, let's see what my next slide is. R Commander. R Commander is actually very close to what I'm dealing with. R Commander was developed in 2003. And it's sort of like, it provides an interface that's sort of like SPSS. It was developed by John Fox, and the nice thing about the R Commander system is that it encourages other people other researchers to add on to the system. So there have been 21 add-ons to the R Commander system since then. Yeah. There are some weaknesses, though, with R Commander. As it stands right now, out of those 21 add-ons, I haven't been so exceptionally impressed as for its use in say, just a basic econometrics 1 course. It could be okay, I suppose, if one was just dealing with a statistics 1. But to get moderately advanced, it is lacking. It's also written in a language referred to as TickleTalk, which, it's a decent language, but it does have its drawbacks. And here I have a quote. TickleTalk is still a widely used language with lots of code in production, and this is from 2010. And importantly, a healthy, diverse, highly talented core team that is dedicated to maintaining and improving the code. However, that said, since its heyday in the late 90s, it has not thrived, I guess we can say. And so then the question is, okay, so what do developers typically use instead of TickleTalk to deal with graphical user interface type of things? And that brings us to Java, which is an exceptionally popular language right now for dealing with these things. And that also brings me to Jaguar. And Jaguar is the Java GUI for R. This is a Java version, you might say, of the R GUI. It is about along the same lines. And so this was developed at the Department of Computer-Oriented Statistics and Data Analysis, or SUDA, at the University of Augsburg. And later, Ian Fellows came on board and was helping out. I bring up Ian Fellows because he's important later in our story. That is right here. With Deducer. And Deducer is very much like R Commander, but written in Java. And it's available as an add-on, in a sense, an add-on to the Jaguar, that's where it works best. It can also work as an add-on to the original R GUI, but it doesn't work quite as well there. Yeah, so this is developed by Ian Fellows, as I said, a doctoral student in statistics at UCLA, just to remind our doctoral students in statistics that great things can be done. And that brings us to us. And what I was trying to do during the summer with a bit of help from Abdel Nasser Hatimijay is to provide an add-on to the deducer system. And actually, I would say that Ian Fellows has made it really quite well. He has provided quite a bit of support in ways of being able to write code that you don't really even have to get into Java. All you need to know is R, but he gives some tools so as to add on to his system. And so then the question is, well, why should we be doing this? And one reason is to provide user-friendly introduction into the R environment, especially for those involved in economics and financial economics. And also to allow users easier access to the more esoteric functions provided by R. Then we have competition. This system isn't the only player in town. Let's see if I can open this up as a hyperlink. This takes us to a Wikipedia page. And you see that there's plenty of statistical packages out there available. Some are, there's a number that are open source, just like our various public domain ones, freeware, proprietary ones. And so it's a pretty large list. But and R, of course, is sitting in there along with R Commander. So a lot of competition, but it's one thing that the competition to R doesn't have is that they are just not R. R are, as noted at the beginning of this session, is so widely used, and it is often where the statisticians are, well, when they publish a paper, they often are providing code available directly onto R. So that is one of the major weaknesses of many of the other packages that just don't use R. That they create their own little world and hope people will use them, but it's hard to compete with R. So that's the end of the PowerPoint part. But I do have deducer. I'll introduce you to deducer here. And I had opened that up already. This is actually it's a combination right now of Jaguar and well, of course, R is behind all of this. This is the Jaguar console, and it is so this is to a large extent most of what you see on the screen here is this is the Jaguar part, what was produced by Rosuda. What is added in by Jaguar, that they add in some menus. They added in this, Ian Fellows added in this menu on analysis, for example. This summer he was working at the Google Summer of Code, trying to provide some nice plotting capabilities to the system. And there's also a data viewer. I think that he's also worked on quite a bit, trying to provide a nice way to look at the data, and really very much like SPSS. Okay, so anyway, so that's what's been done already to a large extent. On this window, I'll just say briefly that, well, basically what you see here is output. Down here is where users would put in input, really quite similar to what you would see in an R GUI type of situation in the R GUI system. Okay, so what I was working on this summer, along with Abdel Nasser, was providing this menu here. EFE analysis and trying to provide various options that economists and financial analysis might be interested in, as it stands right now, and say more on the economist side than for the financial analysis. Not all of this is completed. It's not a totally completed work. But I'll start off here as far as demonstrations with dealing with time series methods. And here, well, one can put in and out various time series variables. Actually, this is one thing that one task that Ian Fellows was not able to accomplish, that he can't do, with things that he was providing. He couldn't deal with the time series data with the variables that have a class of time series. He always was turning things into what's referred to as a data frame. A data frame is something that can show up easily like this in this data viewer. Okay, so as a demonstration of this, we just choose a variable, and we can, I have various options on transforming the variable. I won't transform this one. And so we have a text area. The text area is for output. There's various things that we could do an ARIMA model or GARCH model, and various tests that we could do. But I'm start off with a graphic, and so just click graph on this versus time, and so we get a graph versus time, and then we can say that, well, perhaps include a two-sided moving average, include a low S fit, and then we get that. So much easier than dealing with the script code and having to put that in all the time. Also, with this, close this. We can do we can look for structural breaks. That there's various tests for structural breaks. We can also plot. Let the system determine the optimal number of structural breaks, and then find the means over that. Try to figure out the means over those various different periods in which they between the structural breaks. So, oh, I have to actually choose something. And so we get a structural break. So it indicates that it determined that there were 3 major periods here on this real interest data, and found the mean the means for each of them. So close that. We can also do things that are we can do some decompositions. I've been working with others in our department on wavelets, so we can do a little wavelet, and we can run a little. This provides a nice little graphic on this is discrete wavelet transform. This is rather advanced stuff. I can't explain this to a popular audience what this is, but you can see the nice graphics and how easy it is to get these things. I closed it too quickly though. This is I kind of have to start this up again now. This is one problem I often find with this, is that sometimes if I do things too quickly and I push it, then the Java decides, no, thank you. So we can start it again. Now, the goal ultimately is, well, one nice thing about this, you can see a lot of packages being loaded in from the R system. R has many packages, and Oh, he wants me to add that in. Okay. You can install many packages. Well, I can just show an example of this. This is typical when dealing with R. There's many sites around the world, and there's tons of packages that one can load in. Just tons. Many people have provided packages for the system. So, and then it's just we have a package manager here, which I think is much better than the R GUI system where you ask it to load, but you can also say load it by default, so you don't have to keep loading it every time. And then also there are ultimately I can provide a way to have, well, I can also put one of this package once we develop this and polish it up more, then we can put it out on the CRAN site where all the R packages are made available, and make it publicly available so anybody can download it. So that is pretty much how things are working. I see that I also have. I'll just open this up. No, it's already open. And I'll just show you something briefly here, and I'll open up the floor to questions here. Sit down. I also have something for linear least squares, and so we can put in variables, income and versus education, say, and then we get the model up here. We get regression results here. We also have I can get a graph of this regression function. I can also test restrictions, just saying I can do restrictions on these coefficients, b1 in this case. I could say is b1 equal to 1 or 0 or whatever. So and I can also do multiple restrictions, multiple linear restrictions. So, but now I've sort of run out of time here. So, are there any questions or comments?
Maybe I can add something. Actually, we had a summer school, as a summer school now in Stockholm in Jönköping, and we use the R package, and it's particularly good for spatial econometrics and for non-parametric efficiency analysis. So, and that is a change because previously we always used different softwares for doing it. We had separate softwares. We had commercial software like LIMDEP. And of course, it was a big advantage to change to an open source statistical software.
Yes.
There's no, you didn't need to buy it, no license things involved, so that was really good.
Yeah, it is really convenient. I mean, basically the whole thing is free. It's open source. If you like some other package, you can use that. If you can't find the function that you want, you can always go to a package like this, and no problem. It's free. Also, this deducer, the Jaguar system, it's multi-platform. You can do it on PCs, on Apples, on Linux. So it can be made quite widely available. Okay. Any other questions? We have Andreas, I guess, is following me, and I'm just to make sure that he doesn't have any problems with his with what he's doing. I'm going to at least log out to make sure that because sometimes the computers can be slow, so I'm going to log out of this.
So now I want to thank Scott Hacker for giving us this lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.